There's something hauntingly honest about a quiet house. No noise, no clutter, just stillness and a loyal dog by your side. I never imagined that one uneventful evening with my golden retriever would become the mirror I didn't know I needed, reflecting everything I'd been too busy or too numb to see. While my husband was chasing promotions, hopping from one flight to the next, I was here, in this beautiful, silent home, with Rocky. Before I share the moment that shifted everything for me, I'd love if you could like and subscribe. It means a lot, especially for stories like this. It began like so many others, another trip, another empty stretch of days. Our house was comfortable, perfectly maintained, but lately it felt more like a staged photo than a real life. Yes, there was peace, but the kind of peace that aches, like a silence that presses down on you. That night, I was curled on the couch. No music, no distractions, just the hum of stillness. And then, Rocky padded over. He didn't bark. He didn't beg. He simply rested his head on my lap, solid, warm, present. It struck me how deeply I'd been living on autopilot. Meals, texts, photos posted with filtered smiles. But I hadn't felt any of it, not really. And somehow, in that moment, without a single word, Rocky reached a place in me no human had touched in months. I ran my hand through his soft fur. He looked up, those wise, loyal eyes saying everything my soul had longed to hear. I see you. Rocky's been in our lives since he was a clumsy little pup, tripping over his own paws. Over time, he became more than a pet. He became my shadow, my quiet strength through solo dinners, forgotten weekends, and the ache of absence I never wanted to name. That night, as I sipped wine I didn't want and watched a show I couldn't follow, I whispered to him, "What would I do without you?" He thumped his tail gently. His answer was always the same, "You're not alone." And I believed him. The next morning brought something strange, a little unexpected gift. Rocky trotted in from the backyard carrying a small, dusty notebook. I took it, intrigued. Its pages held someone else's thoughts, half-faded lines about emptiness, longing, and feeling lost despite having everything. I sat with Rocky, that notebook in hand, and said out loud, "You always bring me back to what matters." And it was true. Later that day, I took Rocky to the park. The air was brisk. Kids laughed in the distance. Leaves rustled under our feet, and I felt something I hadn't in years, aliveness. Sitting beneath an old oak tree, I whispered to no one in particular, "I think I forgot how to live." Rocky's ears perked up. He was always listening. My husband once joked, "Rocky's the best therapist I never had to pay for." That day, it didn't feel like a joke. It felt like gospel truth. That evening, I pulled out a clean notebook. This time, I wrote not for anyone else, not to be seen or liked, but for me. The words poured out like they'd been waiting for the dam to break. Fears, dreams, moments I never shared. Rocky never left my side. While stirring dinner, I caught myself saying something I'd buried for years. I've always wanted to travel, not for work, not as someone's tag-along, just for me. Rocky tilted his head, his usual response when I said something that really mattered. And in the quiet that followed, a new question rose inside me. What's really stopping me? The next morning, during our walk, something caught my eye, a flyer in the window of a nearby bookstore. A creative writing workshop. I stopped. My heart skipped. It wasn't Paris or Bali, but it was a beginning. A step. That night, I marked the date in my planner. No fanfare. Just a quiet promise to myself, show up. As the sky turned that golden hue only seen in endings or maybe beginnings, I looked out the window. Rocky curled against me like he always did. I whispered, "Maybe this is where it all starts." He nudged my hand, and this time, I felt ready. The days that followed felt lighter. Not because anything had drastically changed in my life, but because I had changed. Just a little. Just enough to feel the shift. I found myself waking up earlier, opening windows, letting in air that had always been there but never fully breathed. I started cooking, not just to eat, but to create meals that reminded me of childhood, spices that awakened stories I hadn't told in years. Rocky, always nearby, watched me quietly like he knew this wasn't just a phase. It was healing. One afternoon, I sat outside with that leather-bound notebook again. I traced the faded handwriting of that stranger, the one whose forgotten thoughts had somehow found their way into my story. I don't know who they were, but I owe them. Their sadness had mirrored mine, and in that reflection, I found permission to admit what I'd kept hidden. I was lonely in my own life. And the moment I said that out loud, even if just in a whisper under my breath, something broke. And something else began. The writing workshop came. I showed up, hands slightly trembling, heart pounding, unsure if I belonged. But I went, and by the end of that first session, I didn't care if I fit in, because I had written something honest, and it felt like oxygen. Week by week, I kept showing up. The notebook filled slowly pages of truth, messy thoughts, rediscovered pieces of myself I thought I had left behind in younger years. Rocky became my audience. I'd read drafts to him aloud in the evenings. He'd tilt his head and blink slowly, as if giving me silent applause. And sometimes that was all the encouragement I needed. My husband noticed the change too. He came home from a trip and said, "You seem different. Happier." Maybe. I didn't answer right away. I just smiled. Because it wasn't about happiness, not exactly. It was about feeling real again. We talked that night. Really talked. For the first time in what felt like ages, not just about logistics and schedules, but about dreams, missed moments, and what we both might have overlooked in the rush. I told him about the notebook, about the stranger's words, about Rocky, and how I was learning, slowly, to live again. He held my hand. "Maybe it's time we both learned," he said. And maybe it was. We started taking walks together, not just Rocky and I, but the three of us. Sometimes we didn't talk much. Sometimes we did, but it felt new and sacred. I still don't have it all figured out, but the silence in this house no longer haunts me. It holds space now for rest, for reflection, for gentle healing. And Rocky? He's still by my side. Same loyal eyes. Same quiet strength. Except now, I see it for what it is, the kind of love that doesn't need grand gestures or perfect timing, just presence. The kind of love that saves you not all at once, but piece by piece. Optional closing voiceover, ending thought for video. So, if you're watching this and your life feels a little too quiet, if you've forgotten what it means to feel deeply or dream wildly, start small. Write one thing down. Take one walk. Whisper one truth. You never know what or who might be waiting to bring you back to life. Sometimes healing starts with a paw on your lap and a silence that finally speaks.